Well,
Hello.
hello.
uh, for those of you who have no clue who you're looking at, because there are some of you who we know from past courses, but for any of you who do not, oh, I was going to point to you, but I don't know which way the recording is going to be. I was going to say that,
Yeah.
and hopefully in the video I'm pointing to
I'm
you.
always off. Yeah.
No.
So when I point, it's always the wrong thing. So what a
So that,
horrible first impression we're doing
yeah,
already. But this is life. This is real life. Okay. Like to quote Bluey, this is
that
real life.
yeah, this is real life. That person over there is Sarah McIntosh, Professor Sarah McIntosh. I am Jason Cole, your other professor. You have two for this course. Um, the This is English 202, referred to in the catalog as. Sorry, there's. I don't know if you hear that sound.
Yeah, I
I've got
do.
people delivering something to my door right now as I am sitting here. They are taking a photograph of the package to confirm that they dropped it off. And now they are leaving, trying not to slip on the ice. Hey, everyone. We're recording this during our snow day.
Yeah, I was gonna apologize, like just real quick, for whatever this is. So just in case you couldn't tell, we're recording this before the semester begins. So if you're paying attention at all, like it is currently snowy. I live in Jackson, Tennessee, and I am trapped in the house with my child, who I love. Doesn't seem
Yeah.
like it. And I have been since Thursday. Today is Friday. I am looking a hot mess, more so than usual, because it has been like 5-year-old kindergarten-esque activities. And he started school this week. So he went back to school Tuesday. So I kind of had this buffer where it's like, finally,
Yeah.
calm down. And then Thursday happened and he's been home ever since. So that's really cruel to do to a parent, where it's like, hey, Jason's situation's a little bit different. I perhaps argue like, I don't know. I could make an argument that it's worse, but it's also less.
Well, it's incredible.
Because I had 2 days of freedom.
Yeah.
To where I could adult, and not have to worry about it. Like I had 2 days to acclimate to my situation.
So an interesting
and then now I'm back to Christmas break.
Yeah. An interesting thing about your two professors is that oddly enough, we each had children born in the same month of the same year. They are both 5 years old and they'll be 6 in March. Mine is just off camera. She should be right there. If I just, no, she's covered up still, but she is in the living room. And yeah, I live in Milan. They started back on Wednesday. So I got like 1 day of freedom, and then Thursday happened with the snow, so she's been back.
No.
Oh.
Yeah. This will all be like on the final exam.
Yeah.
Every bit of this will be on the final exam. Promise. We just needed to put that out there. So this is our first impression. Please don't. There's Augustana. Hi, Augustana.
My child. Yes. You want to show your picture? Okay. You hold it up where people can see it. This way. Nope. I know it looks weird because it's there you go.
That looks great. And I can't help but notice you use the color purple. Because that's your favorite color.
You said that's for Miss Sarah?
For me?
So I guess I'll be delivering that on Monday.
I love it. And you use purple like Skeletor. I love it. Yeah. Hey, I can't wait for you to see what Killian and I got you for Christmas, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
I think you're going to love it.
She has one picked out for Killian, too.
Students who are watching this video, it's fine.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. We'll fix this somehow, or we won't. We'll just
no, we won't. We'll just leave all this. But what I was saying before the delivery folks walked up to my back door was that this course is called in the catalog Western Literature and the Arts, but most students just refer to it as the humanities. This is humanities 2, of course. You
And
don't
it's
need
okay
to.
if you didn't take humanities 1 first. It's fine. They don't have to be in sync. It'll be fine.
That's what I was just about to say.
Sorry, Jason.
No, you're fine. You can take them out of order. A lot of what we'll be talking about in the first couple of weeks of class are sort of dependent upon some things that happened right before them, but we'll make references back to those. Don't worry. And yes, the class is sort of, as the title would suggest, a sort of survey, if you will, of the art, literature, philosophy, what have you, of specifically the Western world. So we're talking Europe, and in the case of this semester, we'll eventually get over here into the Americas. Yeah, it'd be nice if we could like branch out into other parts of the world, but we pretty much stick to the Western world in here. And so as such, you have one professor who is learned when it comes to the literature, and one professor who is learned when it comes to the art. So you'll get, depending on which of those disciplines is being focused upon, you'll get a lecture in the form of a video, that is, from either Professor McIntosh or myself each week.
And we both kind of dip our toes in philosophy, although I think for the most part,
you cover most of it.
I was gonna say you do a good job in introducing humanism, and then I pick up on that. But you guys are gonna love me when it comes to philosophy, because this semester, if you had us last semester was the really old philosophy that everyone hates. This semester is the philosophy that really makes you depressed. So
yeah, it all. And then as we get closer and closer to the current era, the philosophy is, yeah, it's all depressing, but be okay with it.
Yeah. Which kind of seems like the metaphor of like Gen Z, right? That's where we're at now. Millennials were just all doom and gloom. Gen X is like, don't talk to me. And the Gen Zs are like, whatever, I'm gonna laugh in spite of this thing, which is perfect. But hi, that's what you guys are gonna get. And I don't really think that we dip a whole lot into like music appreciation or stuff like that. Like we may make reference to music, but for the most part, we're not going to deal with like music theory or anything like that. Architecture is obviously going to be covered, and we kind of absorb that within the art realm. And then I don't think that we cover dance. I mean, we cover theater, and that's literature.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I'll get into, in some of the lectures, music a little bit, but I by no means consider myself an expert in that stuff. So I would have to like dig in and study up hard to be able to. I would just be like one day ahead of the students if I was having to teach them any kind of music theory.
Maybe that's what I need to do. I've got a whole bunch of I'm not going to tease. I'll tease it. I might be able to do some stuff with music. Just as it relates to literature. All right. So are you ready to do the syllabus? I feel like we just kind of rambled.
Yeah, well, we have, but it's okay.
That's who we are.
It is. Let me pull it up. Let me just share my screen, because sometimes it won't. Yeah, I was about to pull up just the PDF, but sometimes it won't show where your cursor is if you're just pulling up one window.
Will you go over to where it says view full screen?
I'm sure that's a place I can see very easily.
Go to where it says view on the left.
Gotcha. All right.
And then full screen.
There we go. Whoa, okay. I thought it would be zoomed in a bit more. Can I zoom in? I can. All right. Okay, so yeah. Do we just want to go down the line to this?
Yeah, so if you notice, we did a really good job in following the restrictions of how syllabi are supposed to look on campus. However, Professor McIntosh is a smidgen of a rebel. So if you've ever had me before, you know that I like to do things a little bit weird, where if you look on the right-hand corner of the syllabus, there is a picture of what the textbook should look like. Now, before we get started, If your version does not say concise edition but says something else, cool. That's just the image that I right click stole from Google. All right. So I think the version that we have says concise edition. That's the one that we ordered. But I think the bookstore, like the one that they have, it says like backpack or like value edition. The thing at the top doesn't matter, guys. All right. As long as it's got that lovely dandy of an individual right here with that lovely lace Elizabethan collar. And it says a history of Western society, and it's got these ISBN numbers, you are golden. Okay. But we put this image of the textbook on here just to help students who are perhaps shopping around, whether it be acquiring it on the internet or actually purchasing it, wink, wink, that you know what version you're getting. Okay, this is the only required textbook you need for the class. That's why we put this picture on the syllabus for you, so that way you can confirm what it is.
Yeah.
All right, so this is spring 2022.
It won't let me highlight. Yes, it is spring 2022. First thing you have up here are our emails, office hours, office location, and phone number. Hi, young lady, I need you to go play elsewhere. I need you to go play elsewhere, please. Thank you. These office hours, as is indicated by this footnote here, which I'll try to scroll down to. I know this says that the office hours can be virtual. Are you only doing virtual?
No, we're not allowed to do only virtual. We have to do in person, remember?
I got you. But yes, we will be doing our in-person office hours, but should you also want to set up virtual office hours, that is perfectly fine. I will
what that
say,
means is there are some of you who perhaps work, some of you who have things where you're not going to be on campus physically, especially since this is a completely online class. That's why that's in all caps. So this is something that you take at your own time. It's asynchronous is the buzzword. That means that you take it at your own leisure. You complete the assignments at when works best for you. We make materials available to you at the same time every week, so that way you can kind of get into a routine of it. But if you need to ask us a question, keep in mind, you can send us emails and we answer our emails. Like, students have yet to complain that we don't communicate with them. If anything, you're going to hate us before the
forgive me while I mute for a second.
That's fine.
Well, I can't with this in full screen mode.
Okay. So what that means is when we say that they can be virtual, just send us an email and say, hey, I have a question. Is there any way that I can meet with you in Zoom? So I can't scroll up on this, but at any of the times that are listed as like our office hours, just send us a message and we can set up a Zoom or a Google Meet or whatever and set it up in like less than a minute and we can meet with you virtually. Will you scroll up, please?
Yes. Sorry. Sorry, kid. Okay.
So if you needed to get in contact with either one of us, or if you wanted to ask a question of both of us, like maybe, you had one of those things, like look on the syllabus for these times where we're having office hours. These are guaranteed times that were available to help students. And if you notice, most of our office hours overlap. I do not have any office hours on Tuesday at all. I'm not saying I'm not available. I'm saying that I will answer emails, but I'm not having any office hours. So if you need to meet with someone and it's only on a Tuesday, that's going to have to be Professor Cole. But if you notice, both of us have similar gaps in our time where we're both together.
Yeah.
Not physically in the same room, but you can meet with either one of us or both of us if you have it. You just need to make sure that you pay attention to our email addresses and contact us. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it for the
I was going to say, just know. I'm speaking for myself, but I imagine this will be the same for Professor McIntosh. I am going to require masking in my office.
Same.
Omicron is surging. My office isn't exactly large, so I just know that, so that if masking makes you uncomfortable at all, virtual office hours is also an option for that reason as well.
So we already covered that this class is completely online. So what that means is you don't have to worry about setting up a time to take exams. That's going to be done completely online. Quizzes, it says you're going to take 8 of them. Those are going to be completely online, and we'll explain those more in detail when we get closer to the quiz dates. But it's going to be done. You're going to get an alert in Google Classroom that, hey, the quiz is available to you. It'll show the due date, which will always be for us Sunday at 10:59 p.m. Of whatever that week is. So the way, wait, don't move, please.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
So what that means for you is you're going to get alerts sent through Google Classroom. If you have the app, you'll get the notification unless you've done something and turned the notifications off. Then you'll also get an email saying, hey, this assignment has been published. You'll get an alert. And then we also publish it in the stream. So we try and make it to where it's pretty easy to follow when assignments and stuff are due, so long as you haven't done anything to cut off notifications at all.
Yeah.
Our week for this class, since it's completely online, begins Monday mornings at 8 o'clock in the morning. So you'll get bombarded with contacts or information from both of us at 8 o'clock in the morning. And then our week for the online week will stay until Sunday nights at 11 p.m. So that way, you know, you can plan however you need to.
Well, that's why I was scrolling down.
Well, I was like, don't do that yet.
Okay.
Well, I figure we can do that more specifically.
Yeah. Well, I was going to point out, for exactly the reason that you were saying it, is how each of these weeks you'll notice goes from Monday to Sunday.
Yeah.
We have them listed here. But okay.
And that way it kind of gives you a buffer to handle it for your other classes and stuff too. So a couple of people have already emailed asking like, hey, I'm going to miss because my flight is not coming in until such and such date. How do I make up the thing? You don't have to worry about it. So it's a completely online class. It's asynchronous. You're just going to get alerts from us every week telling you what you need to do. If you look at the syllabus that we provided to you digitally, these are blue for a reason. If you click on them, they'll take you to resources outside of the bookstore that will, you want to connect to Amazon, that's fine. To where you can purchase the books. We try to make it to where, notice that one says value edition, but then at the very top, it also says combined edition. They don't even know what they're calling the textbook. Okay?
They don't know, yeah.
So I try to make it whenever I did this in the syllabus. I do this in all of my syllabi for all of my classes, to where I have links to other avenues beyond just the bookstore to get your hands on the textbooks. So if you click on the one that said ISBN 13, I believe, it'll take you to Amazon, and it gives you options to where you can get it through an e-textbook, which we're perfectly okay with you having an ebook, like legit, perfectly okay. If you want to rent it and have a hard copy, that's totally fine, whatever works for you. And then I also included the link for Chegg.
Yeah.
Yep. And notice you can buy it, you can rent it, you can do an ebook, whatever works for you, you don't care. And I would not be the person that I am if I didn't tell you that the reason I gave you the ISBN numbers is because perhaps maybe you want to look at other opportunities to have your hands on the textbook.
Yeah.
So if you click on the syllabus, Jason, we made sure to give you as much information as we could to help you mine for the textbook and other opportunities too. This is a digital world, and hey, you're a digital gal or girl. So by all means, whatever works for you to get your hands on the textbook, just maybe don't do piracy on Google servers. That's the only thing I would tell you, because that's usually not smart.
Now, if you're opted into the first day book thing, well, I was about to say you're good and you should have your book, but as we've discovered in past semesters, that may not always be the case. If that's the case, and they are running late on getting you a book, let us know so we can try to help you out what way we can.
And that's the only textbook that we require too. The other one we give to you. And by the way, just to piggyback, we do have at least one copy on reserve at the library too. I think we actually have 2, but we have one copy on reserve at the library, which means you can physically go there, and while you're in the library, like catch up on your readings and stuff. Whatever works for you. Okay. That's the only book that you have to have for this class. And we'll make reference. If you end up getting a different edition than the one that we're saying, we'll make sure to tell you what specific pages or around the sections that we're talking about for you to look at. We try and make it as easy to follow.
Yeah, because they do not always sync up. What the page numbers we'll have in our copy that we have may not sync up with yours. It's insanity. But
we're going to be working on that. Don't worry about it.
And then Professor McIntosh alluded to a second textbook. Don't worry, you do not have to spend money on that. That will be provided to you as a PDF in Google Classroom you can download. However, what we've had some really weird moments in teaching this course where we're all the way at the end of the semester and students will say, hey, where do I find this particular piece of literature I'm supposed to be reading? And we're like, how did you get this far without noting that PDF was there? So that's going to pop up here very soon.
Can you actually let go to there, because it won't let me do it while you're sharing. I can't share anything while you're sharing.
So of course, this looks very different from how it'll look for you because we've got all this extra stuff that we can see that you can't. What you're going to see when you first log in at this point is just the published material, some of which you see right now isn't published yet, but will be very soon. One of them will say literature text. And it will include a PDF with all of the literature that you'll read this semester and more that we'll never even touch.
Yep.
In the case of most of Professor McIntosh's lectures, there will be something in this that you need to be reading.
Yes. And then if you go down to the second page of this for just a second. So if you notice, as it gets to go to page 3. It gets a little weird there, like where we get to the modern era and it ends with like letters from a Birmingham jail. What are you doing? Like I'm literally trying to point out.
Yeah, I got you. Go ahead.
Letters from a Birmingham jail. And then that's it as far as modern literature. You can expect that I will be giving supplemental materials so that way we can have actual modern and postmodern literature, because no offense to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The way that I
wrote that a long time ago.
Yeah, like I explore him as like an existential, like a theist existentialist, as a philosophical thing, as also like a rhetorician, as well as an orator. Like he does amazing things, but he's not writing literature there. That's an actual letter. That's an epistle. That's not literature. So I have to actually include extra things. Just putting that out there. All right, let's get on with this, man. You don't care about the course objectives. We don't either. You might want to look at it. Here's the course calendar. We changed the format because we have been getting tons of emails at different times of the semester from previous semesters where students are like, when is this due? When is the quiz? So we try to make it easy peasy lemon squeezy to where if you need to get in contact with us about when due dates are or whatever, and it's outside of our guaranteed email times. So from 9 o'clock in the morning till 2 o'clock in the afternoon, if you send us an email, we'll answer it. Okay, you don't have to wait like a week. Like, no offense to other professors or whatever, but like you don't have to sit here and be like waiting. But if you're emailing us at like 2 o'clock in the morning, like you probably are not going to get an alert that you got an email reply until like the following Monday or morning. If it's on the weekend, like that's a free for all. We may not be answering emails, and that's perfectly okay. So to help thwart student anxiety, we tried to make this as crystal clear as possible to where we tell you when the week starts, and each one of these will open up on that first day. So you're not going to get online week 3 materials like at the very beginning of the semester, because that's overwhelming, right? For some students, they would actually prefer to have the entire course contents available that they could do at their leisure, but other students can't handle the clutter and they can't handle all those deadlines and stuff. So we try to make it into what's called modularized, to where you only have one chunk of things to work on per week. Makes it to where it's a bit more manageable and a little less, overwhelming.
Yeah.
If there's anything due, we have a bullet that says the quiz 1 will open on, and we tell you the date it opens and it closes on that date. When we say it opens, you're going to get an alert, and it's usually, if it's a quiz, it'll open up on a Thursday. Every Thursday, it'll open up at noon, which is 12 p.m. When we say it closes, we already told you everything's going to be due before 11 p.m. So it'll close at exactly 11 p.m. So you already have that spelled out. You already know. If it's a test, we explain when that's going to be too. Okay. If you've got creative projects, which we're going to do a separate video over, you already know. Okay. So we made it to where it's pretty easy for you to see. Will you go to where it says spring break, please? Just scroll down just a smidgen.
Oh, down here. Gotcha.
Notice there's nothing there. We did that on purpose. So there's going to be semester, like weeks in the semester where you're like, God, there's so much stuff. We did this purposefully so you don't have to worry about any spring break work for us. And we don't have to do a thing over spring break unless we want it. It is give and take, folks. Okay, we did this purposefully. So, and we also told you when the final exam is. Notice it says online because we're not meeting in person.
Yeah.
So you don't have to contact your work and say, I need to take off from this work to take an exam. Nope. You don't have to do that. It's an online exam. It'll be just like the other exams that you take in the class and the quizzes, etc. Yeah.
The format of those we can dive into later on, but they're simple enough. But we can get more in depth about that in another video or another post. But I did want to point out on this same kind of subject that you'll notice when there is a quiz, right? You may get some material that week.
Yep.
But when there's an exam, we make a point of having no new material you get that week. Quizzes.
I like how it says exam. We gotta fix that typo. That was probably me. Go down where it says exam number 2 in week 10.
Oh,
exam.
Yeah. Exam.
Just whatever. So we make it to where there's nothing happening during exam week. We will have study sessions that are virtual, and we'll have you guys decide what days and times work best for you. It's like a class poll, and we pick whatever 2 days and times work best for you. It's usually the Monday and Tuesday before an exam becomes available. So the only thing that you have to do for us in exam weeks is study and take the exam. That's completely up to you. We don't want to overload you with content, but if you look where it says like quiz 1 in online week 3, what that means is online week 3 is the first time that we have any sort of assessment on whether or not you've been learning the content. You're responsible for all of the content for online's week 3, 2, and 1. Yep. It's a doozy. So make sure that you're following along. If you are arriving late because you are traveling in the middle of online week 1, don't stress yourself out if you haven't quite caught up. Like you just need to make sure that you buckle down and get your stuff handled before that first quiz. So yeah, everything we provided to you helps make it easier for you guys to follow along at your own leisure within each week or the module, so you can stay on top of things. Those of you who travel because of athletic obligations or Renaissance, it's an online class. We make it as easy for you to stay on top of it as you can. If you're traveling and there's going to be, perhaps because it happens, some sort of conflict with you having access to the internet on the days that exams are happening, you need to let us know ahead of time. Because don't wait until just before the exam is due and say, hey, I'm traveling and we don't have internet, because that exam became available to you on a Wednesday. And if you're contacting us on a Sunday night, that's not really doing what you're supposed to do as like an athlete, where you're making appropriate arrangements, for these things. We want to work with you. Now, if something suddenly happens that's outside of your control while you're traveling, because that's happened. Like the shooting team one year was trapped in Texas for a week because the bus broke down. Like that's different. But if you know ahead of time that you're going to be like traveling, you're going to be on a bus and you're going to be coming back, maybe don't wait until Sunday night while you're traveling to do the exam. Try and handle it, as you can. And we'll go over the exams when we get closer to them. Okay. We just wanted to point out this is the course calendar.
I was going to say that just not waiting until the last minute on Sunday night for any of the quizzes, exams, no matter your circumstances, is a good idea, because especially if you are living on campus, it's not like we're the only course out there that's requiring things be turned in on Sunday night. And suddenly the bandwidth on Sunday nights is just getting eaten up by all these people who are trying to crank out their stuff on Sunday nights. And often students end up reporting problems when they're trying to crank things out at the last minute on Sunday night.
Well, and plus kids are, playing on PlayStation or
Yes, that's
Xbox or
true too.
whatever, and streaming because maybe you're trying to relax and decompress from a stressful week. The bandwidth on the campus is not great. So we just ask you to plan accordingly because of these situations. However, will you scroll down to the next thing?
Yeah.
As we have this thing that's built into our course syllabus that everyone is allowed to miss one quiz. Okay, you're allowed to miss one quiz, like one. Yeah. What happens is we call it the mulligan or the oh shit quiz. So for circumstances beyond your control, maybe you just were trying to get in the swing of things. Maybe you just had a really crappy week and a whole bunch of stuff piled up on you and you just missed the deadline. We'll know because we'll see it Monday morning when we come into work. We'll get an alert and we will confirm and see who did it or whatever. And we will contact you and say, okay, you missed. Here's your one mulligan. You have one chance to make it up and we'll send you the information. Yeah, on how to make it up. Everyone gets one. Okay, everybody. So you don't have to beg. I mean, I am a villain, but if I don't enjoy the begging, that's not how I enjoy my villainous tendencies. Like I don't get off on that. That's not my thing. Yeah. I'm more in watching people like just annihilate. Like that's
the suffering.
Yeah, the suffering, the begging is not, that doesn't appeal to my villainy. Okay, so you don't have to contact us and say, hey, I missed for whatever reason. We will tell you, however, that one is not like strict. Okay, it strictly enforces and everyone gets one. However, life sucks. Okay, life is chaotic, it's disastrous, it's treacherous, it's villainous, it's arduous. So if there are circumstances that are beyond your control and you've already had one mulligan, okay, you've already used it, but tornadoes happen, snow happens. We can have tornadoes and snow within just days of each other in Tennessee. Please contact us ahead of time. That's why it says you need to notify us. It doesn't just matter if you're in a school sponsored activity. Some of you guys work, some of you have children. We get it. We understand we can't do anything to help you prevent a forest fire if you already lit the fire in the woods. Okay. By that point, we're Smokey the Bear and we're like, well, that sucks to suck, doesn't it? You need to contact us ahead of time and we will try and help prevent forest fires. All right. That's the metaphor I'm going with. All right. That also works towards exams.
I love how in this metaphor, one is contacting us to say, Professor McIntosh, Professor Cole, I'm very sorry, but I have started a fire in the woods.
Yep.
And I am not certain that I am going to get my exam or my quiz done on time because of this fire that I have set.
That's not, no. You need to contact us before you set the fire, right? Okay. The setting the fire is not doing the work.
So now
by that point, that's like your grade. It's just up in smoke.
So now the email is, excuse me, Professor McIntosh, Professor Cole, I have this match in my hand. It's going to drop
gasoline. Please talk me down off this ledge, please. And we will gladly help delay your arsonist tendencies, all right?
But yeah, as it says here, it's just a 10-question multiple choice thing, the quizzes. The exams are 25 multiple choice questions that are all pulled verbatim from the quizzes.
Yep.
We, to try to discourage cheating as much as possible, we have 2 versions of each quiz with different sets of questions on each one. And these 25 multiple choice questions on the exam can pull from either version. So after you have taken the quiz, you'll be given answer keys for both so that you can know what questions you did not see.
Well, hang on, just to clarify. You'll receive your initial quiz immediately when we release everyone's graded quizzes. So after the kids who need to make up the mulligan or whatever have made it up, you'll receive your individual quiz so you can see your questions and see what you got right or wrong. Especially helpful if when we make a mistake, because that happens, and you can ask questions about your quiz. Like, you're always encouraged to do that. The answer keys will happen during the week of the exam.
Yes.
So after we've compiled all of the students, made sure that everyone's taking the quiz or whatever, you will get the answer keys for the exams, section 1 with multiple choice. You'll get that during exam week as part of your study materials.
Exactly. Yeah.
What Jason said was not wrong. I just wanted to make sure that I clarified that it's not going to be instantaneous that you get the keys.
Yeah, exactly. And then the exam will have
essay questions.
Yes, I just don't see them. I just don't see
it's
them.
Right after it says, and 2 essay questions.
Oh, there. Okay. There, my bad. Yeah. So you'll have 2 essay questions. I don't know if I want to dive into that too much right now. Just know that those will be short essay questions. You won't be expected to write some big long thing. You'll have a choice of 2 questions from me, a choice of 2 questions from Professor McIntosh. But I think we can dive into that more in depth as we get closer to an actual exam.
Yep.
Uh,
This whole thing about attendance really seems silly, but we have to have an attendance policy in there per the university. So what it's just saying is this class is completely online. You're responsible for whatever work that is due for that online week, which for some weeks it's just doing the readings and just doing the materials for the class. That's completely fine. If it's a quiz week or something, that's really the only assignment that you have. So just make sure that you have it to where you're doing the coursework. When we say that you're going to be counted absent, if you end up not doing any of the work, and we're going to have stuff that's like extra credit happening this first week, so you can get familiar with some of the low stakes ways in which we actually do work in the class. It costs you nothing to figure it out. It's kind of like a learning curve. If you don't do any of that stuff during the first week and we don't hear from you, you're not responding to any things, then we're returning you, or we're notifying the registrar as a no-show for you, that you haven't technically done any of the work. So it's not that attendance is part of the grade, but we have to make sure that we're communicating per federal law, etc. if students are not doing coursework, right? Like, so if it says you'll be counted as absent, all we're saying is if it's like week 5 and you haven't done anything in the class, then we're reporting you as like a no-show and having you administratively withdrawn from the class, because you can't go back and make up stuff from week 1, week 2, week 3. We don't have the course set up like that. It's, you have to do work when it's assigned during that module.
I was gonna say we are both, I would say, pretty good about reaching out and being like, hey, we haven't seen anything from you yet. Are you okay? Is everything,
yeah, like if you've missed 2 quizzes and you are not responding, and we stalk you. It's horrible the amount of ways in which we try and make sure that we're facilitating dialogue between us. Then yeah, don't be surprised if we start releasing the Bethel hounds on you and have like Dean Loudon's office and her representatives and God knows who else contact your advisor and be like, we haven't heard from them, we don't know what they're doing. Because when we had issues with COVID the first time, we ended up having students who were completely homeless.
Yeah.
And they were wandering and they were like couch surfing and like no one knew their circumstances. But once we found out where they were, we were able to work with them. So the big thing is we're not doing it to be nosy Nellies. We're doing it to make sure that we can help. Like, we genuinely want to help you, not only for this class, but to make sure that you're okay in other ways too. So that's all that means. There's not technically an attendance policy here.
The COVID-19 notice, surely by now you've seen on every single syllabus you've had for the last 3 semesters. It's essentially just letting you know if you do have to quarantine, you're still responsible for getting the work done. Keep us posted. I don't know how well the whole quarantine notification system is going to work this semester. Hopefully it will work better than last semester. Last
With
semester
it being an online class, like,
yeah. But last semester, like, students would be going into quarantine. You guys were doing a great job of letting us know, and we wouldn't hear anything about it until 3-4 days later, from the sort of official avenues. So let us know about those things when they do come up. We appreciate it. It is an online class, so it shouldn't affect your ability to participate in here unless your symptoms are just that bad, in which case reach out to us and let us know.
not just for you, by the way. If you are a primary caregiver, we do have something in here of like, if you're a primary caregiver of like family members, whether it be people who are your blood or people who you choose as your family, and you're responsible for helping them because they become sick, please let us know. If you are pregnant and going to have a baby and that could interfere with your schoolwork, please let us know. If you are, dealing with anything, let us know. It doesn't have to be COVID related. Professor Cole and I actually give a shit. Okay, whether you believe it or not, we actually care. So if you've got something going on that's going to negatively impact you in any way, shape, or form, not just for this class, but like you as the person, don't feel like we're going to narc you out. Okay, please contact us. Not only can we handle whatever we need to do as far as this course is concerned, but we can try and find you resources that'll make your life just the tiniest little bit better. And that may be all we can do, is refer you to other people. So if you have anything going on, doesn't have to be COVID related. If you've got something going on, I mean, there was one semester where a girl's car broke down and she was like stranded or whatever, and she didn't know who to contact. Like that's a thing. Okay. Professor Cole and I will do whatever we can to help you. Even if it's just something like, do you just need to listen? Like, do you just need someone to listen to you? Because we'll do that. Okay. It's the full package experience, for lack of a better term. Like, we do whatever we can to help you.
Okay.
That's beautiful. I love it. It was that purple and gold too, by the way?
It's purple and orange, looks like.
Okay. Well, beautiful. I love it.
I swear that I have not tried, because I really do try to let her discover things on her own. And so by no means have I tried to push her toward art. There just seems to be something in the genes. Because this kid can just sit and draw. She's already done these two things, and now that third one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So while he's doing that, one of the other things I wanted to point out about the class that we try and do is there's cultural credit, which is extra credit. If you were in person, we would be able to facilitate that a little bit better because we would get a whole bunch of notices. But with this being an online class, we try and work out different ways in which we can ensure that students get access to extra credit. There's going to be other extra credits, okay? Like we'll just have pop extra credit assignments or whatever. But cultural credit just means that you go to something outside of the class. There's a whole bunch of musical stuff that happens on campus. There's theatrical performances. There's art exhibits that happen on campus that are free. You attend one, we'll explain how you need to prove that you went to one, and you can receive 10 points. That's a maximum of 30 points. Okay. That's not limited to just campus though. If you end up going to Nashville because you're in Nashville and it's amazing, and you end up walking around, and seeing some really interesting outdoor art exhibits, sculptures, because Nashville has them, we'll count it. It's fine. Yeah. If you end up going to a concert that you paid for, one kid went to go see Zelda, which was amazing. Boom, 10 points, extra credit. It says it's limited, one each for the categories of music, theater, art, literature, or film. For us, we don't care. As long as you go to things, it's fine. But that's from all of the courses of English 202 that's listed in there. We can amend it as we need to.
Yeah, because it was limited to one each when we were living in a world that wasn't affected by the pandemic, and a lot more things were happening on campus. The number of events that are happening have sort of dwindled a bit, maybe not down to nothing by any means. There's still plenty going on campus, but you may have difficulty, especially if we've had this happen. If you are a student who's not on campus at all, you are completely taking this course and everything else that you're taking at Bethel online, and you live somewhere else. And so it may be difficult to find one art related thing, one theater related thing, one music related thing. You may have all three of them as art, or two art things and a music thing, right? That's fine by us. In the time that we're living in, we could hardly be sticklers about that. But definitely take advantage of it. Those 30 points are enough to make up for 3 quizzes, right? And that was another. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, speaking of which, we kind of forgot like one of the little caveats of the class when we were talking about quizzes. My apologies. If you scroll up just for a minute to where it says quizzes.
Sorry.
So we forgot to mention that when we were talking about like everyone gets a mulligan, whatever your lowest quiz score is, by the way, will get dropped. So you take quizzes. You take 8 quizzes, whatever one's your lowest, right? So if you get a mulligan and you make it up and maybe you didn't do as well as you want, whatever is your lowest quiz score, that gets dropped anyways. We only technically take 7 of them. So just wanted to point out, you get 7. And then if you end up doing 30 points worth of extra credit, that kind of sort of offsets 3 other low quizzes too. And we'll get into that a little bit later as far as the extra credit.
But what I was about to say about the cultural credit is that's another one where we were very near the end of the semester. I think we were like week 10, and we had like 5 or 6 people email us saying, "So what is this cultural credit thing that you're talking about?" And it blew my mind. I'm like, guys, if you haven't been taking advantage of this, get on it. So yeah, that's something about this class, because we know this class is a bit of an omnibus, and so we try to provide wherever we can venues and avenues for you to boost your grade in the class, particularly since it's one that is required pretty much no matter what discipline you're studying at Bethel University. Here's our breakdown of the grade. The quizzes, you may note that 7 quizzes at 10 points does not equal 200. So we take that whatever amount of points out of 70 you've had, and we convert it to a 200 point scale. The creative project, which we have not really touched on too much just yet, we can dive down into that a bit more in a different video.
Yeah, that's going to be a separate beast.
Yeah, it is 200 points. Exam 1, 2, and the final exam are all 2,000 points. I mean, 2,000. Wow, 200, equaling 1,000 points. And then how an A.
Wait. So whatever credit you earn, that's it, right? So don't ask us, hey, I've got all this extra credit, why is my grade so low? Nope, that's not how this works. Okay. Yeah. So the way that the course is set up, and in Google Classroom, by the way, you are not going to see extra credit applying towards your grade, to the good or to the bad, because Google Classroom doesn't let us do that. It ends up punishing students who don't do extra credit, and so we have it to where it's worth nothing. It does not apply towards your grade at all. You'll get the points, but that's a way in which we're enabling transparency to occur in the course. We're communicating to you within Google Classroom. We have records that you attended the events.
Yeah,
they're there, and we actually don't use Google Classroom to calculate your final grade anyway. We use a spreadsheet. So it's just a way in which you can see and get an idea ballpark wise how much extra credit you can anticipate to be added to your grade at the end. And that's why it says extra credit is added to the total points you've earned. Yeah. So if you end up getting like 894 points all by yourself, okay, if you notice on the range there, it says 899 is the cutoff for a B. And you have 894 points by yourself, okay? But then you have 20 points of extra credit coming to you. That would bump your grade to an A, okay? It doesn't get applied at the beginning. So students have a tendency to think, well, I've got 20 points extra credit, I'm not going to do these quizzes. That's not how that works.
Yeah.
It doesn't offset that. It gets added at the end, okay? Yeah. And really that's not beneficial for you anyway, because if you're not doing the quizzes, you're not getting the material, which means you're not going to be able to study as well as you should for the final exam, because even though we give you the answer keys, people make mistakes.
Yeah, and so half that quiz is the essay.
Counting as your participation.
Half the essay I meant are those wow, half the exam are those essays. So you could really bomb a full half of the thing if all you're studying up is those answer keys.
Yeah.
But yes, I was going to just like briefly touch on that same thing you were just saying about the in Google Classroom. Google Classroom also won't allow us to show you these numbers. It will only show you percentages. So you're going to see, as the semester goes on, say you've got like a 76 or something like that. That's what it's going to show you. It won't be this. So when you see the numbers in Google Classroom, convert that to sort of the 10-point letter grade scheme.
Well, I mean, it will show you like what your percentage was. So an 89.9 out of 100 means you got like you'll know what you got. And what's an 89% of 200? That's how you figure out the points. Like you can figure, it's an easy thing to do. You can keep track of it that way. Okay. But don't worry about it. And by the way, while we're on it, don't email us and ask us your grade. I and Professor Cole do not communicate grades to students via email. And the reason why is we know how many parents are helicopter parents. We know that there are parents who monitor student stuff. Number one, you're not allowed to give your parents your credentials to Google Classroom at all. That's a serious problem. No one is allowed to have access to your Google Classroom at all because it violates not only your FERPA rights, but all of the FERPA rights of every single student. And that's a federal lawsuit, just so you know. Because if you interact with other students in the class, if you're like sitting here doing some of these like group class things and it can show other students have participated, you've now violated their rights. So that's one. Number two, we can't always guarantee that your email is not being overlooked in some way. Some parents are sneaky, no offense to them, but they will have your credentials put in their phone. So they're also seeing the email messages that you get. So we will not communicate at all to any outside email address other than your Bethel, because that's the course policy. And we will not communicate grades to you in email. It's just another way in which we can make sure that we're protecting your rights. So if you want to know what your grade is, we have a spreadsheet. It's got a running average. We can do that. You just need to come to us during office hours.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think that's, there's all this stuff on the very last page about the creative projects, but we're going to do a separate video about that.
Yep. If you just go up to the previous little bit about the disabilities.
Yes.
If you have anything going on that requires any kind of accommodations, we will be more than glad. Students have never complained about the way that we have the class set up to work with students who have accommodations, but we cannot do above and beyond what we normally do if something works for you better, if it's not gone through the appropriate channels. And the reason why is the university has to tell us. It seems kind of silly, but it's just the way it is. So if you have something that requires some sort of accommodations, then we just need that documented. Yeah. Again, 9 times out of 10, it's already aligned with what we do anyway, like unlimited. There's no time limit on how students can complete the exams, which is perfect. You just need to make sure you have it done by a certain time. But if it's something above and beyond what we normally do anyway, we just need to have that spelled out to us so that way we can figure out as a team on how to make this work. So just make sure that you contact the appropriate people on campus to receive whatever accommodations that you believe will be most beneficial for you.
Below this, I'm going to just read verbatim so that I don't accidentally skip anything in here or paraphrase in a way that isn't true to what the statement actually says. So Bethel University is committed to and cares about all students. Support services are available for any person at Bethel University who is experiencing feelings of being overwhelmed, hopelessness, depression, thinking about dying by suicide, or is otherwise in need of assistance. For immediate help, contact the National Suicide Lifeline number. That number is listed here, or you can text the next number that's listed there. Students and employees on McKinsey or Paris campuses can also contact Bethel's Safety and Security Office with the number listed there, or the mobile crisis number with the number listed there. Counseling is available on campus to College of Arts and Sciences and College of Human Services students through Bethel University's Department of Clinical Services with the number listed there. Emergency services, 911, should be contacted in the event of an emergency. If you're experiencing any of this, feel absolutely no shame whatsoever in reaching out and seeking help. In particular, hang on just a second, Augie. Just a second. It's important thing we're talking about. I am aware of, because my wife works pretty closely with the National Suicide Lifeline, and those people are committed to what they're doing there. It's a particularly great service, and one where you don't have to worry that anything that you say or talk about is going to be sort of reported on to some other entity. But yeah, I mean, we understand and know that even during times when we're not in the midst of a pandemic, things can be stressful. We can, sorry, I'm distracted by the child here. We can have our moments of feeling overwhelmed or feeling despaired, and it can feel like there's no way of overcoming that. So please, by all means, when they asked us to start adding this to the end of our syllabi, I was particularly appreciative of it. Definitely feel no shame and reach out. I'm speaking on my own behalf, but I'm sure this would also apply to Professor McIntosh as well. If you need to reach out to us, we are welcoming of that as well. Do know, however, that we are people who have to, because of what our relationship with Bethel University as professors here, we do have to report anything that you might say that indicates that you're thinking about self-harm and or something of that along those lines. But we will listen, and we'll try our best to help you out or get you in touch with the services that can help you out.
I think the big thing that I wanted to stress is I, for one, enjoy dark humor. Dark humor in particular that's my bag. If you yourself are also inclined to use dark humor, by all means do that. There's going to be opportunities for you throughout the semester where we're going to reach out and do a check-in, just see how you're doing. And it's kind of like a free venting session. Even if you're talking crap about the two of us, it's completely fine. We're adults and it's not going to hurt. But we do this because with it being an online class, you're not getting the same interactions with instructors that you would have in person. So one of the ways in which we try and maintain that humanity aspect of the humanities is we try and do humane things where we're considering how you're doing overall. If you are inclined to using dark humor, don't change yourself, okay? However, don't be surprised if you get an immediate response, if it's like a course comment or something, where it's like, okay, that was funny, but I have to ask you, were you being serious or were you joking, or what was going on? The reason why is we have to take every indication of any kind of potential problem seriously.
Yeah.
So if you happen to be like, well, I'm just going to stab a pen in my throat, that's how I'm doing great, I would laugh at that because I also say that repeatedly.
Yeah.
However, for some students, that could be an actual instance of an outcry where they're looking for someone to facilitate dialogue. So don't be surprised if you get both of us, because we have done this almost at the same time, where it's like, okay, we got to ask, are you being serious or are you joking? And the reason why is if you're joking, that's fine. Okay. But if you're serious, we have to actually then take you through the steps. And we even have we've been in training. We have to go through almost like a script. And it's going to sound almost the exact same, even though it's two different people. It's going to be almost written almost the same way, where both of us are asking you for clarification. Please don't feel as if you cannot talk to us. By all means, please talk to us. Keep in mind that we are unfortunately tasked with administrative things where we may have to communicate to someone, hey, I don't think so-and-so is doing okay. We're not doing that because we're trying to narc you out. Again, snitches end up in ditches. But it's because we're required to make sure that you have an opportunity to discuss whatever's going on with someone on campus if you are indeed having some sort of serious crisis, okay? So don't be alarmed. if you end up getting like, a really random barrage from both of your professors, like, okay, are you okay?
Yeah.
Are you seriously considering hurting yourself? If you are inclined to dark humor, just tell us that, right? But gallows humor for other people could be off-putting. Apparently they don't live in the meme culture that we live in, which is fine. So don't be surprised, okay?
And I was gonna say also like the extremity of what you report to us is also a consideration. So we've had a couple of situations where a student said something that was, while at the same time reaching out to the student and saying, hey, are you okay? We just went ahead and reported it and let the student know, I'm sorry, I got to do this. Even with the student saying, no, I promise, I was just kidding. I was like, I understand, but I've already done it. When you're contacted, you can tell them the same thing you told me, but I've got to do this, because and it's done both out of a legal obligation, but also out of a concern for you. Okay.
I have one thing. If you could stop your share, I was gonna.
Oh, yes. Okay. I can do that.
All right. So, one of the things that Professor Cole mentioned was the published material, and I just clicked on that so you can see it. So one of the documents that's going to be available to you within the published material is there's the literature text that's going to be available to you today, which is Friday the 7th at 1500 or 3 p.m. We kind of went over the course list. It took us forever. We're going to attach the video here at the bottom, but if you click on this thing that says English 202 Facts, which is available to you today, January 7th at 3 p.m. Does this pull up for you, Jason, when I do this?
Yep, I see it.
Okay, cool. Because sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know why. We have created, based on commonly asked questions, a facts page. Cool? To help students, again, have access to material that's relevant. So that way, if it's outside of our normal email availability time, they already have the information. At this point, I'm going to communicate to you the following thing. Okay, if you send me an email and ask me what my office hours are at this point, because we're publishing this video, you're going to get a meme. Okay, and that is my way of communicating to you with respect. I have full confidence in your ability to find out the answer to the question because I've already answered the question before you asked the question because I knew you were going to have questions. Okay, if you're asking a question like, hey, how are quizzes figured out? Well, guess what? We've already answered that question. So you're going to get a meme. Okay. This is just my way of trying to avoid some sort of awkward, because I am awkward, situation where students are like, is she joking or is she serious? Because my tone is different in person than it is in writing. Okay. My written voice is different than my spoken voice. And I also code switch like nobody's business. So I just find to avoid situations where students can't tell if I'm being serious, because my sarcasm is to the point where I don't even know if I'm serious anymore. I don't believe I exist in seriousness anymore. That I'm just going to start sending out memes. Okay. And the reason I'm doing that is if you get a meme in response to your question, then that means I've already answered it, figured it out, because I don't want to have some situation. So one of the ways in which we try and help make sure that you don't get a funny meme, unless you're into that, and I support you, is we created this document that has like commonly asked questions. And I'm going to like blow this up just a smidgen. What do you need to know about the course setup? Well, in case you didn't watch this whole video, and I can't say I blame you, we've like it tells you when the course and stuff opens up, when the required readings are. We've given you that information. We've also explained what you're supposed to be doing whenever there's not anything like a quiz or exam or creative project assignment showing on that course calendar that we've given you. Okay, so you know what you're supposed to do. Cool. How do the quizzes work? Well, we kind of sort of trying to explain it in this video. It was a lot. Maybe you weren't. I can't say I blame you. By the way, if you haven't gotten to the point where you're speeding up your YouTube videos anyway, you should really do that for this class. Just saying. We explained in the facts video like everything you need to know about what the quiz setups look like, when they go live, when they close, what students need to do, and when we're going to communicate your grade. So please notice here, please, that you're not going to get your grade necessarily the next day. You're not going to get it. If you take it on Thursday when it opens, you're not going to have your grade Thursday right after. That's not the way it works, because we have it to where we can confirm, we can like look at things, we can review things. It's just our way of trying to protect things. Okay. You can, if you have not received your grade in Google Classroom within 2 days of the close, which would be like Sunday, then contact us, but don't send us an email immediately. Okay. That's not a good idea. And pay attention when you get a confirmation message from Google Forms saying your stuff has been submitted, because then you don't need to email us and say, I submitted it. Did you guys get a notice? If you got a confirmation message through Google Classroom or through Google Forms saying your stuff has been submitted, you already got the answer. So yeah, don't do that. Unless you had some sort of technical issue, you shouldn't be contacting us asking us whether your stuff gets in. All right, what do I do if I missed a quiz deadline? Well, guess what? We explain exactly that in this document called facts. Okay, how do the exams work? Well, we explain that to you too, as well as that they open up on a Wednesday, 12 p.m. And then I also put noon, all of that. And then we also have, how does that work? There is no time limit on exams, but also there's no mulligan on exams. All right, so if you miss an exam, that's kind of a big deal. You don't get it, all right, unless you make arrangements with us ahead of time. There's no opportunity to make it up. All right, and that's explained clearly here. All right, in no uncertain terms. There's no like verbose rhetoric to plow through. It literally says there is no mulligan allowed for exams. I underlined that. It must be important. I also underlined this, and I made it in bold, and it says must. It doesn't say should. It doesn't say could. There's no way to misread that. If for whatever reason Murphy's Law is just beating you down, you must contact the instructors in advance to make arrangements. If you don't do that, well, then can't help you. And notice it said students should email their instructor. Like that's a thing.
And that comes from experience. There have been so many times when an exam just wasn't submitted, and it took us reaching out to the student saying, hey, what's up? You didn't submit this, for the student to say, oh yeah, I had this particular family thing going on over the weekend. I had to take care of this person, and I just never got a chance to do it. Well, if you'd let us know that ahead of time, we could have worked something out with you. Now you're sitting here with a 0 in this spot. So, don't do that to yourself.
Another thing is like, how does my extra credit work? Well, we already kind of covered that extra credit doesn't get applied to Google Classroom, that running average that shows in Google Classroom, because it doesn't allow us to do that. We already covered that in this video, but guess what? We explained it here. All right. We also explained how it's going to work and what this means. All right. And then also the most important things that I said, final course grades are never calculated by Google Classroom's gradebook anyway, and that we're just doing this as a means of transparency. I already said that. It's already in this document. So yeah. And then what's going on with my grades? It's not dropping the grade. Well, Google Classroom doesn't allow us to do that. So guess what? We've already spelled this out for you. And it must be really important, because I've mentioned it like 3 different times in this document, that final course grades are not calculated by Google Classroom's gradebook. So if you send up from this point, if you send an email to me asking, hey, how come my quiz is not getting dropped? You're getting a meme, bro. Like, sorry, not sorry. And I'm going to include, if you just send it to me personally, I'm going to include Jason in that response. So that way he knows that I have now communicated to you, like, you've got the information. You are a smart, capable human being. We have given you all this information to help you try and figure it out. And that way it's up to Professor Cole whether or not he actually wants to be that. Okay. Everyone thinks that he is the nice one, and it's because it's a reason. All right. I am the villain here. I am not the nice one. So,
but what you always say is, what you always say is,
but you got mean last semester.
Huh?
Yeah, I said you got mean last semester. You were the mean one, and I was like, wow, this is first.
But yeah, but what you always say is, why do these students think that you're the nice one? Like you, Professor McIntosh, you're always claiming, like, why do they think I'm nice?
Yeah, why do they think I'm nice? I keep telling you I'm not, but yeah, you guys are gonna like do it. You have two instructors in this class, so please make sure that you're including both of us in the email. And the only reason why is life happens. There's been a couple times where I got an email and it was something that was kind of time sensitive, but I was not available. Like I couldn't do it. So it just sat there for a little bit. You need to make sure that you're putting both of us in it. Now, if you got a problem happening at 10 o'clock at night on Sunday, whenever the exam is due in an hour, and you're having some sort of troubleshooting thing, it's not a guarantee that we're going to answer that email. Okay. I may be on my phone because I've made bad life choices, but it doesn't necessarily mean I'm obligated to answer that. However, communicating to us that you're having this issue makes it a whole lot easier for us to help you whenever we are available.
Yeah.
So please include both of us. All right. Because there's been times where students, for whatever reason, want to play me against Cole and contact me separately. And then I give the answer. And then they contact Jason and he gives the exact same answer. And it's like, what? Wouldn't it just be easier if you just included both? Because we both end up including each other in the emails anyway for transparency reasons. So anywho, the reason I brought this up is it's the facts document. So it'll be right there at the very top where it says facts. Anytime you have a question about the, hey, I don't know how my grade's getting calculated, we covered that. Hey, I missed a quiz. I'm not saying you shouldn't contact us, but I am saying you should go here first to see if you can find the answer before you contact us, because that really wants me, or that really helps me want to help you. If you're like, hey, I looked at the facts thing and it says this, but I'm not sure I understand it, then I'm like, oh yes, please let me help you, because you showed that you did the bare minimum. All right. That's all I got. That's all I was going to say.
Yeah, no, that's all I've got. So now you know who you have to suffer through this semester.
And you'll be getting videos like this
Yeah.
from us a lot.
Oh, that's one thing we didn't
every
talk about.
week. Yeah. Every week we do a wrap-up video where we're kind of like just, even though you get information from us on Monday, at towards the end of the week, so it's usually we record on a Thursday, we will send out a video that's just cringe, just full-on cringe. I just need to put that out there.
It doesn't start off with that intention. Our intention is to provide you information you need as the week wraps up, but we're incapable of staying on task.
I don't know. We pick music though, Jason, and like I gotta tell you, like it's cringe. Like the intention is whatever. I respectfully disagree with your assessment there. We set out to be cringe, like from its premise, from its inception, from the planning, all of that. It's cringe. Like, anywho, we set up a video where we'll communicate to you like what you need to make sure that you know is due for that week, and then kind of a preview of what you can expect for next week.
Yeah. So
if there's any sort of assignments that are due, we'll remind you, hey, make sure you have it done by such and such time. And it'll be like, yeah, it starts out on task, but then it just becomes an experience.
Yeah.
But you'll get videos like this from us. You'll get another one like this over the creative project. This is probably the longest video you'll get from us, because this would have been an hour and 15 minutes in person going over the syllabus. So that first class, if this were in person, this is the longest video. Yeah, that's all I got.
That's all I've got.
Will you guys be happy and safe and get ready for the madness?
I'll try.
Welcome to the void.
Yeah. I'll try to get this posted today, which is Friday. So if you're watching this on Friday, enjoy this final weekend before classes begin. Monday morning, you're going to get some material from me. So you'll get your first set of lectures from me. If you don't have the book by then, no worries. Just once you do have it, read up on the material that you need. But at the very least, watch the lecture. Don't be like, oh, I haven't read this material, ergo I shouldn't watch that. Yeah, that's all I have.
I have nothing to add.
Well, just awkwardly wave goodbye, like the Clampets on the front front steps of their mansion, just waving. Y'all come back now. All right, take
It
care.
is what it is. Bye, guys.
Bye.